everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Stone Genius. My name's Ro. I'm the Stone Genius. You know me. I'm often stoned. I'm always a genius. I will tell you, I do not know what strain I'm smoking right now, but it gives me the munchies, which is good. I mean, actually, that's exceptionally good right now. I mean, and it's probably good for people that go to our pool as well, because if I gain enough weight, I won't be Speedo style swimsuit ready. Well, yeah, I just won't fit. I mean, there's a reason 32 is an extra large in a Speedo style swimsuit. It's because you don't really want to see someone larger than that. Typically, I would say. I mean, yes, there's rules to the exception. Nope. Exceptions to the rules, but that doesn't have anything to do with this. Let's see. I was thinking of... So we've had guests. The last couple episodes were guests. 2 episodes ago, there was a young lady on the program. They did not want me to use their real name. I do not know why. So here's the deal. Everyone thinks that if they're on the podcast that things will go south for them because of stuff that I say. Here's the deal. No one gives a shit. First of all, no one's going to know that you're on the podcast unless you tell them. And then secondly, even if they do care and they listen to the episode that you're on, there's a very slim chance they may stick around and go back and start listening to old episodes just to see if it's worth hanging around. And I do see that because some interviews, some episodes move quite a bit. After I have a certain guest on, I'll know that there's a lot of new listeners with that episode, and then I'll see some of my older shows move around. One of those shows, which is currently and has been for the last short while, been the number 1 episode in my catalog of nearly 190 episodes now, was from Real Men, Real Style founder Antonio Centeno. He will be back on the program. He has quite a few followers, like on YouTube, Instagram, wonderful YouTube channel. If you don't follow it, especially if you're a man, learn about style. I have learned a lot. Stuff that I probably knew or should have known, but I needed someone to speak it out loud. I needed to hear it. But there are going to be a lot of guests on. So anyway, the guest that I had on Monday didn't want to use the real name. I was going to say, so how I tied that into Antonio. So because he is so well known that when I get if you look through the names, probably the most well-known name besides Rick Ross that will be coming up in a couple weeks, the most well-known name just by visualization. They will see that name and go, oh, I'm going to listen to that, because he debuted in the top 10 when I only had maybe 100 shows is when his show came out. I don't know the episode number. However, when it came out, it debuted top 10, maybe 5, 4, somewhere in there. I moved up to 3. And then those 1, 2, and 3, and then there was a fairly drastic drop off to number 4 and then 5, and everything else was fairly close. But the top 3 seemed to. So anyway, I noticed a few weeks ago that Antonio's episodes moved to number 1, and I can see that in the number of listens, downloads that happen after someone new is on. So I had someone on the show. She was horribly concerned that someone would know who she was and freak out, but then the stuff that she talks about, here's the deal. Everyone should be free to be themselves as long as you're not hurting other people. And I know it's, what is it? Be curious, not judgmental. I mean, that's what you need to think about your fellow human beings, and I don't think that you should be worried about your name. It's your life. You lived it. It made you who you are today. If I asked this person, do you like who you are? They would say yes. So then why would you hide your name? So I have given them the ultimatum now that if they were to return to the show, and I would love to have them back because I do believe that they have a great story to tell. I did tell them they had to use their name, and then we would break whose name that was for the first show, the first time they were on. So everyone would be able to put a name to a name to a whatever. And then on Wednesday, well, whenever you're listening to podcasts, because now that it's in the past, it's not a day, it's just a download or a stream. So it was released after that first show. I mean, after the We Can't Tell Her Name show, and then Harry Bodley Scott was on. Now, Harry is a member of the International High IQ Society with me. That's how we were connected. I know that he's a musician. He had put a song out. I don't think it was new at the time, but I had just heard it when my dad passed almost a year ago at this time, and it just really moved me. I had asked him a long time ago to be on the show. Finally was on the show this past, we recorded, got it out this past week. Wonderful. He announced new music, which was pretty cool. I think that's super cool that my podcast was able to break some news that he was releasing a song that will be out the same day that this is out, which is April 7th. And the song is called Bad Dancing. So it was funny because I originally thought bad bouncing. I was like, well, some people, they bounce when they dance. And when I sent Harry a thank you note, and he was like, haha, it's bad dancing. I go, well, that seems to make a lot more sense because he explains what the premise of it is, and it's going to be a crowdsourced video for bad dancing, but that makes more sense than bad bouncing. Now, there are a lot of bad bouncing, a lot of bad jiggles, a lot of bad, okay? That's not, I don't think, what he's looking for. I think he's looking for legitimate bad dancing. Let's see. Bobby and I believe, are going to have to have someone to talk to this about. I just heard this term, short king spring. Here's the deal. Not a thing. You know who made that up? Tiny people. Little tiny midget guys. They were the ones that like, oh, look at me, I'm 5'7". Oh, it's short king spring. No, it's not. No one. Here's the deal. Okay, if some woman says that she likes their guys like 5'7", they are lying. They have now settled knowing that they would not, because that's probably going to put them around the 5 foot range. There's no one that's 5'6" that goes, man, I wish I could really find someone who's exactly my height. No one has ever uttered that. Probably in the history of mankind. So I would say Bobby and I need short king spring. Shut the fuck up. That's what the name of this spring should be. If someone around me, see, the only bad thing is they could headbutt me right in the balls. Dang it. I did hit the right button. I just didn't have it turned up. Dang it. Yeah. Here's the thing also. I don't know. I had written this down before. Probably a couple weeks ago. But I wrote being more memorable. That has never been an issue with me. It was kind of interesting. So when growing up, I was always the jock, the nonconformist. That's what I was. And my cousin was very much the pretty boy. If there was some sort of king and queen, he was always the king, so he was the pretty boy type, and everyone seemed to know him. And there were a lot of girls at the time that seemed to want to meet me so they could meet him and stuff like that. And he's much shorter than I am. So he might fit into short king spring. Anywho, I think he's around 5'8". So 5'7", 5'8", somewhere that they're probably wishing they were taller. That being said, when I did an interview, I suppressed evidently a lot of my life. I don't know why. I don't know how. Maybe I was at like Silver Dollar City and they had a hypnotist and then they hypnotized me and I just forgot. Like they're like, oh, I'm going to hypnotize you. You're going to forget any of your from the age 19 to 26. You're going to forget all that. That could have happened. I mean, I feel like it now. So I had an interview with Rick Ross. You're going to have to hear it. It comes out on the 14th. And I was trying to think about the last time I was hanging out with Rick Ross. And I thought it was in Tampa. And then I was like, because it's been a long time, I was like, no, it wasn't in fucking Tampa. It was here in Kansas City with heavyweight champion of the world, Tommy Morrison, closing down bars, them turning the lights on, us hanging out like hours after the bars. Probably that's whatever. And it was weird because when I started thinking about it, what always came to mind was Clearwater Beach. That was the last time I saw Rick in person. But then when I started, I was like, no. So that was one of the first questions I asked Rick. I was like, when was the last time I saw you? And so they were able to confirm that. He was also able to confirm one of my stories that has one of the best comeback one-liners maybe ever. And I am tipping my hat right now because I did say it. It's one of those things where, like, if someone said it, you'd be like, well, I guess I am witty enough. Like, there's probably not someone would be like, oh, I don't think you're witty enough to come up with that, Roro. I'm pretty sure that I am. Well, I mean, I did, so I'm 100% sure that I am. I mean, can't be over 100%, but I'm exactly 100% sure because I did come up with this. But it had to do with me, Rick Ross, and my cousin. We were doing some pre-gaming next to a pool on Clearwater Beach, and may or may not. You need to listen to that show. The Rick Ross show coming up here in a couple, 3 episodes past this one. You're going to enjoy some of the stories in there. I forgot. Now, it's weird because often when I recall my 20 to 26-year-old, hold please. Hold on. You know what I can actually do for this? I have music from Harry Bodley Scott that every time I'm going to smoke, I can put some jams on for you. And this is good because this intro is like 30 seconds long. So this is Harry Bodley Scott doing Instagram. But it gives me a chance to smoke here while you guys are listening to music. And maybe you're bad dancing right now or bouncing, either one. You can do either one, I don't care.
I've seen you on Instagram, enjoying your night. I know that lost soul look in your eye, but you're smiling as if everything's okay in your life. And I really do hope that you're doing alright, but I miss you now, though I got no right. Cause you and
I'm coming back, give me a second.
You change your mind 1,000,000 times a day. I you send me every which way, but then I see you found somebody better than me. Well, I guess I'm not.
Okay, that was Instagram by Harry Bodley Scott. If you haven't listened to that episode, it is out. It was great. Now, I will tell you once again, Harry, me, I didn't finish my story. So when I think about my my early days, my youth, when I was a ute, I have to know my cousin Vinny to understand that. When I was a ute, then I often say I don't know what happened because it seems like back then there were 10 days a week. It just seemed like I was always doing something, but it's weird because I say that, but I don't know what I was doing. But then sometimes I think about it, and I remember being in Westport one night, and I'm standing there, and I look next to me, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs kicker. He was their kicker at the time, Nick Lowry, just at some bar. We started hanging out, talking down there. I mean, it was the stuff that I don't remember the girl that I was with on a date, but when Kiefer Sutherland and Julia Roberts were in town shooting a movie, they were down in Westport one night, like middle of the week. Sat there and talked to at the bar with them. I wish that I So here where I was going to tie in memorable and stuff. So originally I was talking about the guest and I was talking about the first person on, and they're afraid that they're too memorable, that everyone knows. And I will tell you that is not the case with most people. It is with me. I cannot disappear. If I miss a day of work, everyone's like, why did you miss a day of work? You weren't here yesterday. Where were you? Is everything all right? I just, whatever it is about me, whether it's my height, my exuberance for life, my personality, good or bad, something, when I'm around. If I am like a black hole. If you get too close, you're going to be sucked into whatever's going on around me. Or should I repel you? Maybe I should be a magnet instead. Anyway. Some people like want to be memorable, and they do stuff like just my own personal opinion. Let me jump back to Harry Bodley Scott, HBS. TSG on HBS. So, first of all, first person, you're not as memorable as you think. Don't worry about it. And if people listen to your show, if you tell people that you're on the show and they listen, and then they go and listen to other episodes of mine and they don't like it, that's on them, not on you. So be yourself, be proud. Harry, when Harry was on the program, it was the first one I'd done internationally. Harry is based in the UK, small town, I believe, southern part of the UK. Said that if you told me, I would not have heard about it. And that's good, because literally I could name a city. Manchester, there's two. So London, Manchester, Liverpool. Is that? So now I've got three. But I think I would run out quickly. Like when he said, oh, you probably hadn't heard. Yeah, I hate when I tell people I'm from Florida and they're like, have you heard of BFE, Florida? No, I haven't. Do you have any of these small shithole towns that are in the middle of Florida? Oh my gosh. Town after town, just shithole after shithole. I don't know what they are. I mean, so here's the deal. You know the best towns and you know the worst towns. That's the only thing. Anything in between, you don't know. If it's the absolute best, the absolute worst, you're well aware of it. But Harry was on the program. Harry and I are both part of the International High IQ Society. He's, I believe, current member of other societies as well. I've given up my other memberships and other societies. I am only in the International High IQ. And he was calling it like ICSIS or something. So he even has like an acronym for our society that I just call it the society. And he was calling it, and I don't know. And I didn't ask. I've said this before. The difference between my 146 and I believe he has said at one point he was 143. It's not 7. I mean, I know mathematically it is 7. I am at least that smart. What I'm saying is if you listen to the second half of that show when he is talking about philosophy and some other things, and then you remember that I am now up to 7 episodes on babies that were being born in toilets. Not maybe whole episodes, but perhaps that topic encompassing like 75+% of the episodes. I've had at least 7. So if you know that I've done that, and then you listen to Harry, you will, like many of the people in the society, you will ask how I got in there. And I would say the same thing I say to everyone else. I do not know. I was laser focused, I guess. Being more memorable. Here's the thing, not hats. You know, I used to wear hats because I was playing golf. I was on the golf course nearly every day. And I'm not kidding, especially when it was warm. If it was above 65, I was on the golf course every day. Even if it meant just playing 2 or 3 holes, I was on the golf course. But I always wore a hat because I didn't wear a hat at the beginning. I'd get my head tan, but I didn't want it to just burn like it would have if I did. So I don't think I've worn a hat since. And those were usually baseball caps or like a bucket hat, something like that, just to keep myself in the shade, my head in the shade. That being said, because I don't have any hair. Oh, God. If they made a hat that looked like hair, and I do know as I'm saying that, that would be called a wig. I would wear one. I really should look into that. Sometimes I see like movies and stuff, and I'm like, I know that's not their real hair. It's not like their real hair and dyed it, which seems like that would make more sense, but whatever. So if I literally, so here's the deal. If Bobby's fake boobs were worth $5,500 or whatever we paid for them back in 2010-ish, me paying $5,000 for long, beautiful hair. I mean, let me just say, I often say that Bobby's breasts that were, I have often said that that was an amazing an investment for at least me of $5,500. Still enjoy them to this day. Not often can you purchase something and still be enjoying it 12 years later. Is that a, or a, it's one or the other. Don't know which one. But so here's the thing. Don't wear hats. I mean, and I definitely wouldn't wear a hat if I had long, beautiful hair. Once again, Bobby and I have talked about it. Now, so there's an episode about me wanting hair. There's a lot of episodes where I reference it. Probably every episode. Literally, that's what's on my, it's like Bobby is first on my mind, and then me having long flowing locks is second. It's a distant second. Well, it's not that it's close. It's probably closer than Bobby would want to know or I would be willing to admit. That being said, Bobby seems right now, because I had mentioned in there, much like the colored clay that you would play with, I don't want to use any names, but you would like put it in the person's butt that didn't have any hair, and then you would jam something into their butt and their hair would come out. And I've said, if that literally, if they were like, here's a hair pill, and I'd be like, that looks too big to eat, and they're like, oh, it goes in your butt, I'd be like, okay. I mean, and here's the thing. The way I just said, okay, literally, if they told me, if a doctor came to me tomorrow and he had, I mean, it could be the size like of a mag light, and he could say, this will cure your male pattern baldness. And I'd be like, well, did that have an expiration date? Because I'm going to have to build up to that. I'm telling you, I don't know why I think that would be such a good, I just want my hair to grow like that. I just wish my hair would just and like come, and then I could stop it. Like that'd be so cool. I'm telling you, there is no way that fucking Star Trek show where Picard is bald and then a guy has his baldness or his blindness cured. There's no way that happens. Baldness will be cured before blindness. I'm just saying, because you can be bald and have a full head of hair and still be beautiful. Did I say bald and do that? Blind. You can be blind and have a full head of hair. I just say there are a lot of disadvantages to not having hair. I know that sounds like a real stretch, and I'm sure that it is. But because now I am on the better half of, I have spent more days without hair than I did with hair. Hold on. I do have something for that. But yeah, so I was talking about if there was a hat made of hair or a wig, as some people would call it, since they seem to obviously already have been invented. I thought I was inventing something new. I mean, I will tell you, I get the munchies from this, and sometimes I'm laser focused on this strain, and sometimes I'm not. No hats. I'm just not a hat guy. And first of all, if you're a hat guy, pick a hat and stick with it. Don't be beret one day, bucket cap the next day. I don't know, top hat perhaps. Don't pick a style and stick with it. I mean, cowboys, they have a hat. They may have two hats, one winter, one summer, but they have a hat. They don't go, oh, today I think I'll wear a Gatsby hat or a driving hat. I don't know what they're called. A Kangol hat. So hats are not, if you want to be memorable, actually, now that I've spoken that out loud, yes, do that. Be the buffoon that wears a different type of hat every day, and you will be memorable. I was going to say not for the right reasons, but that wasn't part of it. I just put being more memorable. Doesn't matter why you're being remembered. I mean, I don't ever even think about that. But then it was funny because the whole thing that happened at the bar that you're going to have to listen to the Rick Ross episode, the whole thing that happened at the bar, Rick Ross said that's one of the funniest one-liners they had ever heard. And he says he still will say that or repeat that story. And that was over 30 years ago. Oh, what year is it? That was well over 30 years ago. It was like 33 to 35 years ago. I think it was 89. So 34 years ago. And still remember. And it was hilarious. I mean, I remember. I don't remember. Obviously, I don't remember a lot from them because I didn't remember hanging out with Tommy Morrison. I mean, I do vividly, but for whatever reason, the reason I probably shut that out is because that was one of the few times that I am not the center of attention. And I'm not saying that I want to be the center of attention. I do know that I have a loud personality. I can be funny. I'm tall. I have a beautiful wife on my arm when I'm out and about. So I know there's a lot of things that gravitate people towards me. But it's not because of hats. If I had hair, oh my gosh. I'm telling you, if they said, stick this up your butt and then Bobby's going to have to peg you and you will have long, beautiful hair, I would be like, let's do it. And if she was like, well, do we need to I would be like, let's just do this. If I can't die, let's just do this. I don't think anyone understands how important hair is to me. In fact, hair is so important to me that if I could go back in time, I would probably not become a scientist so that I could cure baldness. Once again, baldness will be cured before blindness is cured. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that's the way it should be. But you're going to have a sighted person probably working on the blind issue and also the hair issue. I'm just saying. I mistakenly, hold on, what other notes do I have before I get this? Oh, yeah. So I was watching something that was talking about alien bases or something on Mars. Okay, that's fine. So if we have a telescope, whatever it's called, the James something, it's not the Hubble, I don't think. I think there was a new one. Whatever. There's whatever the most powerful telescope is that there is right now that's up there in space that's actually being able to look back to near the time of the Big Bang. So it's looking back dozens, if not hundreds of light. I don't know. So I don't want to throw a number out there because I don't know. But it's looking through many light years. I will say that back through the history of time and then can see like this beautiful star or constellation or I don't know. Once again, if you listen to the Harry Bodley Scott and you listen to how eloquently he speaks and the words he uses and then the words I use, you will swear that someone else took the test to get me into the society. I don't know. I mean, I forget a lot of stuff I'm finding out. So maybe someone did take the test for me. I don't think so. And would I take it again to prove that I need membership? No. No, I would not. Let's see. What else did I write? Oh, the telescope. So I was thinking, if they really think, so if it can see that far away, if it can see millions of light years away, can't it see like however far Mars is, a couple million miles, however far Mars is, couldn't that basically pick up a grain of sand? I mean, it seems like if it could go light years, which seems like a long distance, as opposed to a million miles or a couple million miles, I would think that they could solve that. I mean, they could basically do like Google Maps, like when they do the street view and stuff, they could basically take pictures of the entire planet. I mean, it would be that clear. So why don't they? So I like aliens. I mean, I don't know any personally. I would love to meet one. I mean, seriously, if UFOs are coming down, I will try to, I get this from my mom, but I would be the social butterfly. I would work my way to the spaceship and be able to talk to whomever I need to talk to. That being said, I uttered the word out. I said this phrase. Bobby and I were sitting on the porch. A storm was coming in a few nights ago. And as we were watching the storm roll in from the west, we noticed north of us is the airport. And there's the new Kansas City International Airport. And then there's the old, I think it's Wheeler Airport, whatever the old downtown Kansas City Airport was, which still uses like small plane traffic. And the space shuttle for some reason. So we're watching down there and it looked like a plane. And I go, it looked like a UFO. And I said that to Bobby. I go, do you think that's a UFO? And Bobby's response was, well, it has lights on. It has blinking lights on and you could see it and it's going really slow. And I was like, yeah. And so I said, if aliens were really visiting Earth, wouldn't that be the way they want to disguise themselves? They don't want to disguise themselves in these, like the Tic Tac video that they show, the Tic Tac shaped craft that's flying around going faster and like, woo, woohoo, it's going so fast, look at that, woo, blah, blah. Whatever they were yelling while that was going on. Wouldn't it make more sense? So you always want to look like you belong. So if you do not belong somewhere, you want to look like you belong. So if you want to get backstage somewhere and you want to test the fences, you just look like you belong. You walk by while you're on the phone, and when they say, can you see your credentials, you reach around your neck like you're going to show them something, and then you look like you lost it and be like, make it like it's a big deal. There's ways you can do this, is what I'm saying. So I've always said, you look like you belong. Until someone tells you you don't belong, you just make it look like you belong. And a lot of people are not going to ask you. So if you think about aliens and culture and the way they're talked about, sometimes some people, television shows, movies, that they'll be like, they'll have like human skin over reptilian body. Because what did they do? What was the easiest way for them to walk among us? It would be to look like humans. So if they were going to be in the air around us, wouldn't it make sense that they would be in a craft that was able to go slow and had blinking lights so no one would even notice it? I know, right? So as soon as I said that, I go, did I just fucking ruin UFOs for me? Because now I don't think UFOs, because it would make sense. If you were trying to be undetected, you don't fly a big triangled shape that everyone in Phoenix sees. Just like in the television or the movie Nope, the spaceship was there all the time. It was in the cloud. I think it was a spaceship. Whatever it was in the cloud because the cloud was there. No one questioned the cloud. Well, someone did in the movie, but most people did not question the cloud at all. So that's what you do. You make it look like you belong. So if there were truly alien crafts, UFOs in our airspace, it would make more sense for them to look like a Cessna plane than it would be for a UFO. Because if they have that technology that they can come all this way, they should be able to do some sort of cloaking, something or other to make it look like just a regular plane. So I hope I did not ruin UFOs for everyone else. I don't think there's any new Ancient Alien television shows, but I will be looking forward to the next one. I'll see whether I can sit through it or not. Bobby and I have started some new shows. One of us, Unstable. I do like the actor Rob Lowe. I think he can be very funny. He was in a TV show he was an actor and his family were lawyers or something, I believe lawyers, with Fred Savage, which I thought was a very funny show. Don't remember the name of it, but I thought that was very funny. The show Unstable, I can't tell you what platform it's on. I've already forgotten, but we end up watching, it may be Netflix. So we watched the whole entire first season of that. I believe it was only 8 or 10 episodes. It's only about 30 minutes long. I think the first episode's longer, and then after that, it's 24 to 30 minutes. So quick watch. That was a lot of fun, but they have a lot of great one-liners. And the thing that I like about it is Rob Lowe plays this eccentric billionaire, and then his son on the show, which is his real-life son, they have conflict. And the way it's funny because Bobby and I would often be like, is that how Ro, how I am with their children? And often it would be yes. And some of the one-liners, one of the funniest was, that can't be the answer to the question that I ask you. Because I feel like I could use that all the time with my mom. Like, I just wish that I could, it just seems like I ask a question and the answer is so far out of left field or out of somewhere that that maybe I should retort like that. Let's see. So I've talked about episodes that have been on. So The Girl Without a Name, I do hope that they will be back on with their name, and then we'll go to a full deep dive about their life. I believe they may have grown up on a lead paint farm. I am not positive about that. Oh, I have something for that. I don't think lead paint farms were a thing. I'm not sure that's where lead paint came from, farms. But I also don't know that 100%. There could, as long as there's one in the world, then that's all it would take. So I would just say I'm not sure that that's where lead paint comes from, but if it does, I'm okay with that. And then we talked about Harry. His new music will be out. So if you're listening to this podcast, then his new song, Bad Dancing, I almost said Bad Bouncing again. Bad Dancing, Harry Bodley, Bodley, hyphenated Scott, Scott. Find it wherever you can find your music. You listen to your music. I am looking forward to it. Maybe My Bad Dancing could be used in an upcoming video of this song. We'll have to see. I am excited to see this song and hear this song because he says he's been working on new music, so I don't know how much that's going to change from his old stuff, which I really, really liked. Instagram is somewhere in the middle, I think. I don't know how old, how new, but it's a fun song as well. So next week, show after this, will be a returning guest, Tim Lytle. Tim was the producer, writer, director of the now award-winning feature film, Man Baby. I'm going to let this go to the end for Man Baby. Yeah. Yeah, I'll let that go to the end for Man Baby. So it did win Best Feature Film in the Ethereal Frames Art and Film Show, I believe. Ethereal Frames, I believe that was the name of it. But Tim joins the program. Tim and I talk about the movie Shark Side of the Moon and about Moonfall. If you all have listened to that, I do an episode myself about those two movies. Much of that's reiterated here, but it is interesting talking to a writer, producer, like how things are done. So one of the things we talked about was editing process. Because if you've ever seen stuff where you're like, oh, why wouldn't they fix that? I mean, it just seems so out of place. Fucking fantastic. I mean, it makes total sense, but that's when you need someone in the industry. That's why I always say, I'm not going to tell a dentist how to dentist. I don't know if that describes what they do. How to be in people's mouths. That does exactly describe what they do. But I don't tell others their business if that's not my business. Just like I don't expect others to talk to me about weed if they've never smoked a joint in their life or done marijuana at all. I can't have that conversation with them. Anyway, we had a great talk about movies, about editing, about many, many things. Tim was so much fun to be on. Tim will be on the program again. I have tossed him the ball this time to come up with subjects. Love talking to Tim. It's a great chat this time. Enjoy that. And then we also have the Rick Ross interview, which will be out. It's out it'll be the third episode. So if you're listening to this, you'll have 2 more episodes before you get there. And if you're listening to this and there are no more episodes in front of this to get there, just wait. It means you're already caught up. We're going to get there. Let's see. Is there anything else to talk about? I don't think so. I think I pretty much covered everything. Yeah. I did write in big letters, I believe that I ruined UFOs for me. And I'm not saying... I am saying that. I believe that now... So here's the thing. I'm either going to have to take that I believe there's at least a chance of these airplanes being UFOs than like a UFO being a UFO. Because if you're going to hide yourself and make yourself look less lizardy, which is a scientific term, less reptilian. Hold on. That seems to make a lot more sense. I mean, lizardy, I don't think there's probably anyone, even the geniuses, even the stoners, that didn't understand what I meant. When I was talking about aliens making themselves look less lizardy, I believe everyone still understood what I was trying to say, even though I wasn't using the proper words, as you might, by saying less reptilian. Because that seems like that makes a lot more sense. Anyway, yeah. So I, at this point, will probably be doing a solo show once a week and then get a couple interviews out. We got some great. I mean, I've already told you about, so the Tim Lytle, the Rick Ross interview, those are in the can, not literally. I mean, I could put my soundboard in a can and then technically it would be in a can, but it'd be within a structure. Like when you're trying to hide porn, you put it in a folder inside a folder inside a folder. And then you name it best, I don't know. You name it something that no one, like best stroganoff dishes. Ugh, I hate stroganoff. So they're not going to look. That's what you do. I'm going to tie this in also to like security. One person always thought about, well, I need to beef up security. I need to beef up. And it's like sometimes it's just easier to make your stuff less desirable. Like if you have information to steal, then taint that information. Taint it so if they do make it, if they want to steal it, they can steal it, but it's worth nothing to them for however you do that. And I know that sounds logical, but it is. We'll go into that in another show. But anyway, I do have the Timmy Lytle program, the Rick Ross interview. Those are in the proverbial soundboard, not proverbial, the actual soundboard. That's where they are. and I've already backed them up, and I've saved them to 2 different desktops. I'm nothing if not redundant for this show. Hold on, I have something for that. So I have those interviews already done. I have a real estate agent who sells international properties. So going to have them on as soon as we can work out a time. Antonio Centeno will be back on from Real Men, Real Style. There's a lot of stuff that's coming up. Have some guests that will be returning as well. Here's a side note. If you caught the first 2 episodes of Liv LaRue on this program, there is a 3rd episode with Liv LaRue, a 3rd talk that I have, found on The Longest One Night Stand with Bobby and Roe, which is my program with my beautiful bride. Liv joined us for that. I bet not too many guys are comfortable going home and going, hey, babe, I got a prostitute that's going to join us on X and whatever day. And they're like, oh, that sounds amazing. I don't know, maybe. You know what you could do is listen to our episode because we talk about that. We talk about couples that go to see prostitutes. So if you haven't listened to the 2 Liv LaRue episodes on this channel, this podcast, you can go back and I've piqued your interest, giving you what they might call a half chub. So if I've piqued your interest and now you're like, oh, I want to hear these interviews with Liv, you can go back. There's Liv and there's Liv 2, Liv LaRue number 2. You can go back and find those. But that was and that 3rd interview will not be on this program, but it was released on The Longest One Night Stand with Bobby and Roe. So go over there and find that one. Anywho, anyhow, anyway, I hope that I did not ruin. I feel like I could be ruining a lot of things lately. I mean, I was talking about Sasquatch squirrels, so I hope I didn't ruin Sasquatch if there's still remaining people out there that believed, wanted, however, whatever was Sasquatch. I hope I didn't ruin that for you. I do not want to ruin anything for anyone, is what I'm trying to say. So let's see. There is no such thing as Short King Spring. We know that. Be more memorable, but not via a hat. Or if you are going to wear a hat, then stick with it. Like you always know, like if you see guys, and like one thing we're going to talk about with, maybe not. I don't know exactly the route we're going to take with Antonio this time. I say we, but I do mean we as in me. Questions that we're going to ask. I think I want to find out a lot about him. There may be some questions about style. Anywho, anyhow, anyway, I will mention watches with him. He just recently did a show with watches, and I am definitely going to talk to him about watches because that is one thing that I very much like. So we have a lot of stuff coming up. I appreciate you listening to me going solo. It's been a while. So you should get me once a week. Next, if you're listening on the daily. Otherwise, maybe like every other show, you'll get me solo. No, be like every 3rd show. Something. You'll get me solo every once in a while. That's what I'm saying. Thank you all for listening to the program. My name is Ro. Thanks for sticking around and listening to the whole program. I very much appreciate it. We got some great guests on the horizon. Rick Ross, I will tell you this story before I sign off. Rick asked how long most of my interviews lasted. I said they generally last 1 to 4 hours, but it's dependent on the guest. And he responded, I choose one. I was like, well, so we're doing our little pre-thing or our little pregame when we're talking. Rick was remote. And when we're talking, once again, like every guest asked if they could cuss. And then I don't think they did cuss. And then the second thing was like, well, I don't even know how we're going to get an hour out of this. So I did have to stop him at 1 hour and 15 minutes. It was a great breaking point. I said, now, I know that we haven't even hit the meat of the subjects you want to talk about, which we hadn't, which is great. So Rick will be back on the show. So remember, we have some great ones coming up. We have Tim Lytle, Man Baby, award-winning Man Baby film, the director, the producer, and the writer of the film. They will be on a upcoming program. The Rick Ross interview will be coming up soon. We got a couple more coming up after that. So we're excited. I don't know why he keeps making this sound like it's plural. It is me. Now, I talk to myself a lot, so maybe that's what I mean when I say we're. Thank you for listening to the program. You know me. My name is Ro. I'm the Stone Genius. I'm often stoned. I'm always a genius. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening to the show.